Hello friends, and welcome to my little victory garden. Today we're going to have a little bit of a life update, a garden tour, and a harvest update all in one, because June has been a lot. Seriously. I'm beginning to feel like chaos is kind of par for the course for me and the garden. But the garden keeps on growing, and so do we. I think we'll start with a life update. I'll try to keep it quick, I promise. Earlier this month, my mother-in-law had to go to the hospital for some health problems. You know, she lives with us, and she spent about a week in the hospital and then a couple of more emergency room visits following. And that introduced a lot of chaos, but it's family. That's what you prioritize. And then, just as I thought that was all getting settled, Bear, bless his heart, decided he needed to have a mysterious limp. You've probably noticed in some of the videos he has a stiff leg. He's had that since we got him. His previous people said he had it since he was 6 months old when they got him. And yeah, sitting here I'm seeing these bugs on my tomatoes. I'm not happy. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, Bear's had an x-ray. We don't know the final results because his hip and knee were too swollen to see what is actually going on. He's on pain meds, and we're supposed to be limiting his movements. Have you tried limiting the movements of an Australian Shepherd, especially a fairly young one? This is not going well, but he's happy. He's not in pain. But yeah, that's what's going on. And the garden has been booming through all of this. And so have the bugs, as I can see over there with the tomatoes. Oh, goodness me. Anyway, let's get to the fun part. The garden and the tomatoes and beans and cucumbers, lots of cucumbers. So these are those bugs that were distracting me. Some, I believe some leaf-footed bug nymphs. I've seen a few of them in the garden lately. I'm trying not to do too much in the way of pest control this year, mainly because I don't have time. As you can see, I've not been keeping up with pruning my tomato leaves back either, and something is eating my tomatoes. But that's the only real negatives going on. Let me show you all the fun parts. I am getting lots of tomatoes. I've seen some over here. See if I can find them. I saw them earlier. Yeah, they're starting to blush, and I need to get those done. And before, well, the bugs get those too. These are my beans, the long beans here. I mean, it just fills this space. It is so fun. I've got some melons tucked in here as well. I didn't plant as many as I did last year because we were a little overwhelmed. And so this year, instead of being overwhelmed with melons, we're being overwhelmed with beans. The bush beans, I've decided to stop harvesting for green beans, and I'm just going to let them go to seed, and I'll have dry beans later. Mainly because I have a full-time job, and trying to harvest every morning before work is a lot, as well as, you know, the figs also decided that they were going to start coming 2 weeks early. So let's go take a look at the rest of this, and then I'll also show you the fig tree because it's crazy this year. So we've got the green long beans here. We've got, let's see if we can find it. I've got one melon. I've got one little baby watermelon going there. Although I'm seeing some of the other melons putting on some flowers. And the bees are usually here in the mornings. This is the evening of Sunday, June 21st. And then We have cucumbers. I also have a few purple long beans tucked in here. But can you see? These I'll be harvesting in the morning. I'm getting anywhere from 2 to 6 cucumbers a day. And, oh, I need to go harvest this one later. I'm not sure. Can y'all see? I missed that one this morning. I thought I was doing good with only 2 cucumbers this morning. And there's another one for tomorrow, and another one there, and another one there. They're not slowing down. I've never had this much luck with cucumbers. I'm very excited. I still feel like I probably should put in another seed or 2 so that they will keep going. But I've already done 2 small batches of dill pickles. I don't really like dill pickles, but my mother-in-law loves dill pickles. My sister-in-law loves dill pickles. My niece loves dill pickles. My daughter's fond of dill pickles. So I probably need to make more dill pickles. I am more of a bread and butter pickle kind of person. But I'm trying dill pickles this year because I am a good person and like my family. Let's see. Got some tomatoes back here. One looks like it's rotting. That's unpleasant. My mortgage lifters are having a real problem with worms and, well, I'm not sure if it's rabbits or rats eating them. But all the ones low to the ground are pretty much goners. And then I'm getting worms in the ones higher up. They're not really bothering too many of my others. It's just these big ones. I've got lots of cherry tomatoes. I'm going to use them to make a pasta sauce tomorrow. I am cooking from the garden quite a bit this year. Let's see. I still got the leeks in the ground. I finished pulling all these potatoes and I put in my sweet potatoes. Those have only been in the ground a few days, but there they are. And then I finally got that trellis up. And we've got blue butterfly pea and Malabar spinach planted at the base of it. Let's see. Oh, my grow bags. I've been trying to move them. I've got a jalapeno there. A jalapeno here. This one's a smaller jalapeno than the others. Eggplant. Oh my gosh, the eggplant has gone crazy. I've been doing my best to come up with new ways to do eggplant. The other day was a green bean, chicken, and eggplant stir fry that turned out really good. And all these grow bags have different sorts of peppers in them. And then look, this is the first year I've grown a winter squash. Do you see that? That's my butternut squash. This is my attempt to deal with the whole squash vine borer. Supposedly these are not as susceptible, but they put on a whole bunch of female flowers and no males until not too long ago. And look, there's another squash bug. Look at that horrible thing. I need to get better at catching them. I don't feel like I've had as many yet this year, but I keep looking. I find the bugs. There's a couple of little ones there mating. I'm just not getting as stressed out about them. Probably because life has other things that are more stressful. But look, there's more down there. I'll probably throw some diatomaceous earth on those. That's what we had here yesterday. I had a whole bunch of little nymphs, and I got those in the seeds. Not seeds. Eggs yesterday. Obviously not enough. And something's nibbling on the leaves of my eggplants, but they're still producing like crazy. Despite the zinnias. Zinnias have gone crazy this year. And they are doing their best to crowd out all my peppers and my eggplant. But they're still producing, so they're obviously not doing too terrible a job. I am doing my best to try to cut back every day. People are getting flowers. I've even tried feeding them to my friends' chickens. They do not seem to be as fond of the zinnias as they are the kale. Anyway, let's see. These are those sweet peppers. So I bought a package of sweet peppers at Costco last year, and I saved the seeds. And those have done beautifully. This is that African blue basil that's just, I didn't realize how big this thing was going to get. I should have. But we're going to do, and then back here is, oh, I have my, let's see, ground cherry. If I can, okay, ground cherry. I've harvested a few of these, but I just keep eating them instead of like taking them in and weighing them. That's good. So good. And yes, I just did that again. This is that lettuce I would let go to seed. And I've got bell peppers in here surrounding the zinnias. By the way, these things are like eyeball high to me. They're huge. So this place looks like a jungle this year. Don't remember it being quite like that this early in the year. I had a mystery plant in there that I thought was a potato. It was not. I still don't know what it is, but it got pulled. And I am preparing to put my Romas in. Hence you see the red square-shaped tomato cages. I can't. They're in pots right now. They are struggling because my life has been chaos. And I can't keep up with them when they're in pots. They need a little bit more care. They need to be watered more. They need to be, babied a bit more. It's not happening. So we're just going to throw these things into the ground once it cools off enough for me to work. Because it's in the 90s. We have hit the 90s pretty consistently lately. These are some of those bush beans that I've decided to just stop harvesting. I have already exceeded last year's harvest of green beans. And just the bush bean style, I got like 11 pounds last year. I know I'm at least at 12 this year. And the long beans are a lot easier to harvest because, well, they're hanging down in my face. I don't have to do squats or rummage through things to find them. They're like there. So these are just going to let them go to seed. I have like 2 okra plants over there, so I'm going to try to get some more okra started soon. I need more okra. I need a lot of okra. But I'm not seeing any signs that any of the others that I put out are doing anything. Oh wait, there might be a little third one right there being hidden by the beans. There's that zinnia that volunteered in the pathway. Yeah, I've stomped all over that thing. It's struggling. And of course you can see the grass back there. So zinnia, grass growing from the neighbor's yard over there. I need to do something about that. I need to figure out a way to block it better. I go and I pull grass every other day, I feel like. But, okay. Yeah, I said it looked like a jungle. Last year, the only jungle part was the tunnel. But the whole back fence with the grapes and the zinnias and the asparagus, and hiding in those zinnias back there are some jalapenos that you cannot see, but they're putting on monster jalapenos. I'm going to try pickling jalapenos tomorrow. And I am harvesting, I'm preserving something every few days. I'm either freezing beans, I made a blackberry fig jelly, I've made a couple of batches of dill pickles, like some pickling. Yes, Bear, we hear you. You hear Bear. And then look at my Greek oregano. Well, it has a lot of grass I need to pull out too, but. And this was a volunteer cherry tomato of some sort. And oh, there's a yellow jacket. Okay. And this is the thing I intended to plant here, which is a sunchoke. I don't even know if I like sunchoke, so I'll find out. And look, grapes. Lots of grapes. Look, I've got muscadines. I just planted these last year, and I got the red flame grapes. I got a few ounces of those. I didn't expect to this year. And then I'm already seeing, this is a good size muscadines. This is the Cowart muscadine. So this should be the purple ones. And then this one over here that's not near as tall, but is certainly spreading out lengthwise, is my fry muscadine. It is not putting on fruit yet. The yellow jackets seem to like it a great deal. I think that's what I'm seeing in there, the little yellowy black striped thingy. Anyway, I did not harvest any asparagus this year. I will start next year. It's obviously very healthy. And then basil. We're making pesto once a week. When I make the pesto, I make a giant batch and I put some back. The kids did the pesto last week. So yeah. And then the blackberries obviously do not want to be contained. So I think this is the triple crown that's over here spreading out into the sidewalk. I'm going to need to trellis that. And then, you see, I'm not sure if you can really see get this one. Way out here, and it goes all the way back over there. I think that is actually one of my Arapahoes. My first 2 plants are Arapahoes, and then I've got a Chester and a triple crown. But this more upright version is typically the Arapaho. It wants to take over. I've gotten a bit off this year. I had about 1.5 pounds that I was able to use to make a fig blackberry jam from the figs I froze last year. And I've gotten, since then, 1 or 2 a day. I think 3 is like I get excited about. All these grow bags still have French fingerling potatoes. I just made it through all the Yukon Golds and a potato salad that we're still eating on. And then this bell pepper is not staying confined to its space, mostly because I think the zinnias have pushed it out. But I've got a good sized bell pepper in there. I need to harvest that thing. So you can see it. Yeah, there it is. And of course you can see how crowded all of this is. My eggplant is still putting on flowers, which makes me happy. Okay, this chaos. The zinnias over here are purely volunteers. I had zinnias here last year. That orange one though is gorgeous. I'm going to try to see if I can collect seeds from that, because I love those really full petals on zinnias. And this is I need to cut these back, my bells of Ireland. You can see they've like grown off into the sidewalk here. They've got like little spines behind the flowers, which if you come at them at an angle, they're very flexible and not a big deal. See that? But if you try to grab it, like, those things will poke you, and it's uncomfortable. And then here's my Texas tarragon growing in amongst it, because I need to cut the bells of Ireland back just to give that some room. And then we've got my bergamot, or bee balm, which I love. And this tomato has like collapsed down here. It's not wanting to stay within the thing. We'll have to try to tie it up and see what I can do to salvage it. These are some more beans. I thought they were going to be bush beans, but they're not. This is what I get for not like buying beans from, seeds. I'm just using whatever I get from the grocery store. I don't know what kind of beans these are. They've not actually put on beans. They've just been growing like this. And well, you see it keeps on. I need to move that tomato plant. That is a Creole tomato, which are very good. I had one the other day. And let's see if we can get through this jungle. Oh, and yeah, there's basil tucked in here. Do you see that? And another eaten tomato. Dang it. Let's see. Can y'all see that tomato there? Yeah. I'm getting plenty for myself, so whatever critter's eating it, fine. Unless it's a rat, because I'm putting more rat traps out. I'm tired of those things. And oh look, there's our little limpy dog. He's not so limpy now that he's got meds. Aren't you a handsome fellow? Yes, you are. You're a handsome fellow. And coming back around the other side of the tunnel, there's more bush beans that I'm not harvesting. And this is a cardinal basil that I propagated at a workshop with the Collin County Master Gardeners last fall. And oh look, Bermuda grass. All right. You know how people complain about mint and how it's supposed to be very aggressive? It's not as aggressive as Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is evil. It's an invasive species. It is not from here. It is from Africa. It came over here on slave ships as bedding. So there is nothing redeeming about this thing, except that it seems to survive Texas heat, which I hate. And there's some of my melons over here. You know, melon vine. There's no melons. There's just the one little watermelon. And this is the other side of the cucumbers and beans and another basil plant because I can't get enough basil. We're having pesto once a week because it's the kids' favorite food, and I am getting them to start making it, doing some of the cooking, which brings me joy. And we're back on the other side of these beds that I still need to plant. I think I'm going to try to put some okra in here and here, just to kind of fill in these spaces, and I want more okra. And coming back over here to this jungle. Oh my gosh. See, I told you there's jalapenos tucked in here. They have cages. I put in cages, but the zinnias are pushing them out of their cages. So you can see this one has, you can still see this one's. The others are smaller. But let me see, do I have, I think I harvested all the jalapenos off this one yesterday. But I'll put on these jalapenos that are like this big. They're huge. And this is my Suffolk grape. It has not produced. It also has some morning glories trying to tangle their way into there. All right, I'm not sure if I've told you the story about the morning glories. When I moved into this house 13 years ago, my daughter wanted morning glories like we'd had at our house in Garland. So we found these beautiful purple and white striped morning glories, and we put them back here, and we had like a lattice work trellis, and it was lovely. And I had a lawn service, and they ripped up all my morning glories because they considered it a weed, and I was very sad. Been 10 years, no morning glories. Last year, peeking under this fence here, the morning glories, purple and white striped morning glories, just like the ones we used to have. It's a miracle. But turns out those seeds will last, I guess, 10 years. Bless them. Now I'm trying to pull them out because I want grapes, not morning glories. So the other side of the fence is just covered. They're overriding my irises that I've got back there. Then we've got lavender. Once again, I still need to pull grass because, yeah, my rose is still struggling from a fungal disease, but is thriving despite that. I keep trying to cut everything back. I've got copper fungicide that's going on it, but the thing keeps blooming. So I guess it's not too unhappy. This thing's going to get cut back very dramatically in the fall. My sage plant. I've had this sage plant over 10 years. And originally I had my herb bed closer to the back door, and I had 2 of these things. Well, when we decided we were going to put some brickwork down and put the chimenea over there, we had to dig up the herb bed. There were 2 of these, and I dug them up, and I put one of them in a pot, and it sat there for 6 months. And then I put this one in the ground and cut it back dramatically. And in no time, it had filled in. It didn't even show any signs of struggling from root stress or anything. And the other one, like I said, sat in a pot, no dirt, 6 months. So I take it to a friend who complains that she couldn't grow anything. And it sat in on her back patio for several months without any dirt, and did just fine. I think she eventually got it put in the ground. It's doing fine. That and her lavender. She started growing lavender and basil. Not that she plants basil anymore. She is fortunate that all of her basil gets volunteers. I'll have to see if she'll let me videotape over there one day. But yeah, she's thriving. I've got some parsley and spicy oregano in here. Here is the rue plant that I still don't know that I want. And more parsley and some French thyme and rosemary. This is another one I've always had rosemary in any house that I've lived in, or any house that I've owned. So my first house in Garland, one of the first things I did was planted 2 rosemary, and they took over. I remember driving by the house, and about 6 months after we'd sold it, and the person had dug up the rosemary. I was so sad. It's a huge thing. I mean, it had to have been a huge, massive bit of labor to have pulled that off. But I had several of them making a hedge in the front of the yard. And we had that freeze of 2021 here in Texas, and they never recovered. The fig tree recovered. You know, it died back, but it grew 6 feet in a year. But the fig tree, the rosemary could not recover. Neither did the pomegranate or the crepe myrtles. So a couple of years ago, I got a new rosemary. I got a small little rosemary. As you can see, it is now massive. It's huge. So this is my apple tree. I know you cannot find the apple tree because they're volunteer sunflowers from when we had a bird feeder over here. I've got some lemon thyme down there, some volunteer zinnias from last year, the comfrey that I actually did deliberately plant this year, the lemon balm, and then way down in here you see my Cuban oregano. Can you see those little variegated leaves down in there behind the lemon balm? Let's see, yeah, you get little hints of it. And then of course the lemon, massive amounts of lemon balm. But I promise you, this is an apple tree. You can see I've got little baggies on it because I don't want to have to spray it. I'm not sure if y'all saw the video where I cut all my extra ones so that I only had like one per cluster. And I'm going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that 4th one over there? 4 apples. It did continue putting on flowers. I wasn't sure if it was going to actually make any more apples, but it did not, and that is fine. But yeah, I've got it. I'm going to get apples. My friend Michael says they're probably not going to taste very good this first year because when he was a kid, they planted an apple tree, and that when it was still a small tree, it did not make very good apples. But that's fine. If they do not taste well, I will make an apple pie with them. You add enough sugar and cinnamon, and it'll be fine. And this chaos is mints and plumeria and a bonfire peach, which you can see I have also put little baggies on it. And please ignore all the bricks. We're supposed to be making pathways, but between my wife working on her MBA, her mom having medical issues, my wife getting a promotion that's causing her to travel more, and me, of course, doing the Master Gardener program, which required a lot of volunteer hours on my part, it has not happened. I'll get to it, I promise. Maybe in the fall. Oh, the wind's starting to pick up here. So, I have a confession. I did something stupid. My wife wanted a lace leaf maple, and I found it on sale at Costco for like $80. They had a smaller one that was $50, but I got her the splurge on the $80 one because it was her birthday. But this is where I had my LSU fig. I'll show you what I did to it in a little bit. I moved it in June because impulse. But this is that fig tree. Now I usually can walk into this thing pretty easily in all different directions, but this year it is so dense. I've got like 2 spaces that I can easily walk into. And then look at this. It is already producing figs. It normally doesn't until July. I've been harvesting figs for about 6 days now. It's not a whole lot. I've gotten like maybe a pound the most on any one day. But I'm still seeing some back there that you can see that it needs harvesting. But this thing is extremely dense this year. I've got some large branches I'm going to cut off just because they're brushing up against others. But look at this. It's crazy. Let me see if I can step back a little bit and give you an idea of how big this thing is. It's huge. And I cut it back to 8 feet last year. It's easily 12 feet again. And then, oh, I need to water that one. Okay, so these two things here, that one and that one, are my Roselle hibiscus. Remember I had them in the backyard last year, and they got too big. No, put them in the front yard this year. And over there is a mahogany one that needs some more water. I just put it in the ground 2 days ago. I need to water it again. I probably just need to water it daily. It rained shortly after I put it in, so I didn't worry too much about it. Yeah, we're still getting regular rain in June in Texas. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's my mahogany Roselle hibiscus. I need to weed eat the grass that's growing up around my beautyberry there. This is a curry plant. I saw one at a farmer's market type thing in Germany, in Ulm, and I've been trying to find one ever since. And I found one in Louisiana, and so it smells like curry. If you cook with it, it supposedly gets a little bitter, but if you use it like a fresh herb, it's pretty good. We'll find out. And then this is my poor LSU fig, which, by the way, if you noticed, I'm working on getting rid of the yard, all this mulch. We're done. We're done mowing. As you can see, we do not do well with grass. But yeah, this is my LSU fig. I'm hoping it seems to already be recovering. I mean, I thought I'd killed it, and it started to put on some new fresh leaves. So I think that's everything as far as my edible gardens go. We've got a lot still to do in the front. Oh wait, no, I've got my maypop. Let me show you my maypop. This is my maypop. It's not producing anything yet, but look how big those vines have grown. I just put this in last fall, and this is that crepe myrtle that was huge, but the previous owners had planted this. It was too close to the house. It did damage to the roof a bit, so we've cut it back, and it's grown all of this already this year. So we're gonna try cutting it down again. I'm a little sad because it's got an unusual color. Not sure if you can see this, but they're pink with white tips, and I've not really seen this bicolor crepe myrtle before. They're not as common around here. You usually get them white or pink or red. But yeah, I'm eventually hoping to have all of this filled in with plants and maybe some little pathways. So I mentioned the harvest has done really well. We've already hit 185.9 pounds this year. That's a good 50 pounds above what we had done at this point last year. Lots and lots of beans. There's also been lots and lots of kale. But if you're enjoying seeing how the garden's progressing, or you want to see some of the things I make from what I'm growing, please like and subscribe.